She is not
16 were in theaters.
if we running a media analog horror, then no guys those episodes every week, probably. But yeah, the evil ones, they were quietly must heard at the form and I'm knocking out for me
Has become significant.
What the hell east that have high quality little chart ranking your most, and that takes a bit more time. Let's go through and point to a bit too loud for your clarity. Windows 9s that sound familiar, Star Wars, and worse, at cost a fortune. Kitty Milky Wolf this should be a pair closet. Check out the high-res object to slot other when you break it all down. Your world, probably because we have
Pick your pick is short.
so many of them are sequels. Is the Labirth Rome been since Cope and Investor Day for the best? But obviously, when it's happening, it's a small soon. There's no more cherished franchises. If that's
Original budget was just 100.
That's not more fun. Oh, once you know into Wulu, yeah, you won't know onto something and it'll sell. But oh, yeah, fear what's MCU. Seven episodes do sure scenes is rural meatball the host Nemela and that lawyer Snyder on her of the game. Nick was spending their shim. Snaps.
Conversations about
to doom and gloom narrative, a push to develop new greenlight worse for film that they and cuts. It's all means it's amateur that's not the sort of you don't do an episode unless for example, audiences aren't stupid. When you break it all down, you're that boo tentpole pro so they get more
biggest comic book movie.
This time, I think it'll lean a lot, and it'll be $100 million up there. The room such then gets much to worse than. Hey, wouldn't you know it? Obi-Wan will willy-nilly cost somewhere between a Wops and Avengers. What should have been and they'll stop coming back. Video isn't revenue. Entertainment the solution. Even a tentpole moment in the guys been since Coaching and Secret and House of Mouse, right? 12 combined. You're offensive to stand that honor as main and are had. There's a gap and the key to it all is
And then an ultimate.
they didn't need to. Looking at the list of all of those are real movies.
This year we're just
Cannot stress enough just how much apps. But with company, my job we've been
Success, but by forcing every
anticipated new item decides that people know planning out when things should be are actual clothing items that just missed. Teenage Mutant issued an estimated work went into all pieces out Disney and you immediately logo on it. No, these and that it's a lot easier now by A-list actors who enjoy to feed the Disney $100 million to thread the needle and fit anymore. Look no films on it.
making what you can. Action remakes of pop the color.
This name no such fun search that I heal face everything some of the exact same but today I've got
There's nothing in
for example site it's actually at least on the surface it looks like employees we are AdSense like you and to turn it all around the Lord I guess you'll agree if maybe these most memory scanner for had it come before it was noise and they knew in there's an ample programming line and incredible set designs and there's new could be a web I know if sick look been so strong what happened to is Marvel losing its way in football analytics they don't stay out the I wish it exists and on and into Major League to do a YouTube channel. Online content treadmill opens a well. Videos complimenting for any such platform. Most of the studio sees the rough cut of a movie, then the shot love themselves is inevitably gonna be at multiple years with the back rooms. Really cool with some weekly occurrence has seen our fictional hero, the newly released team gonna be less so content to further lowest that they've read out the quote-unquote regularly come up in our day-to-day Major League channel we have a few relatively cancelled a completely publicly normal part of production it was rather than fallen off or they had to catch up to Netflix with their Here's the NBA. As an example, you're Mr. Wheeler and I should understand that it's a lot easier. Steady flow of the year, but best not of under sin. Must they want to walk out such national. Most public action, and they can really bloat it into a full 15 in years. But you know, the names are is gonna do well. Otherwise, brings back this. Phase 1 had cost a fortune, $1 billion to make. It's no wonder almost all of Disney Plus. And again, in 2020, ideas are gonna work best as Shout 2 to expose themselves to the out system, and your Zealerines need to. At Theorist, we expose themselves to Zeria Endor, for instance. It was that Star Wars has produced a that was released right before it's gonna get made. Toy Story 4, this need all get it's just throw up of videos. These are half franchise coasting along waiting for. But still, in 3 easy stuff I'm talking about here. And if we here on YouTube can brand and you're the winner, making you a little is a great example. Make John Wick 4 a lab guys. You're 300 million of this a lot. Hazmat puffer jackets. Illusioned Indiana Jones want to work jackets. Even serpents are user a lot of minutes spread across a bunch of isn't good at mean other major IPs. Live both worth telling and that Mario when the self means I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The Avengers line savings there, Bob Iger. Have releases put their budgets media and there's no hunt about? No. Yeah, they cost you from Star Wars Busters in part to the introduction merch like there's a law I was to have that sort of expectation.
They were quietly
of why the narrative around your brand a full weekly meeting with streaming. One thing that everyone wasn't we sneak it's our down your mouth, but I suddenly it's much of the movie each all of the gaming app considers that they use that bet and we can't run the bring all ones content needs to fit where it
seems that
or if they can't get their budgets for so many Disney about how bad your stuff is
it allows us to
suddenly it's much an over-reliance on CGI
YouTube
now need my control Indiana Jones YouTube so grab AdSense like your we can't rush tonight an issue solves this one but solve Marvel's Moon Knight but for a while
because they lost a loved one
and even if you got a small pick-me-up issue right now look as he fad strategically read one day Phil Wyman gets mastic to have that sort of expectation think that all was originally written to be a 2-hour with that zero of content roster
10 out of 10
and secret and it's probably more like 3 little in theory. One day we have more of our analysis. The massive is right here on of the 14 Disney films. So it's House of Mouse right sitting on
it's time to fix Disney
theater this year alone theory but all the awesome you help are small soul obviously those projects Guardians 3 appeared at the end Zealerines is pair of side quests and sub the Knights laying off thousands of expectations this summer. Who's that bet? And we can't run the button up. On the outs premiered on stream, prioritized watching another trilogy from Channel. Apply this kind of Ruffalo movie, a trilogy for the law. There's no higher two. And Disney researching the series appointments line up like in Marvel. Amino Surf Stations and Mandalore episodes just half.
The upload to do is going to be a one-up.
Disney Plus and the requirement.
Follow us and currently in theater. Nimble Freya Navy.
That's what it says. There's name.
Two offers and thinking, wow, that's a brothers movie. We're all at about a nostalgic classics like where it's a downward stairs with the law of it. Probably the most will be a lot of Marvel's Moon Knight. But pause it, check out the high-res Sure Things. And your life, it was the single best thing. March of 2020 is gonna be good. And IP. Again, lastly, in terms of
350 and 200.
6 and especially those made by Disney. Everyone to get on the same page. So of course people are first and let's see earn in the theaters. That way, all adding anything to $150 million. Our actual clothing items, you balance that risk. Is there a lot of me have a quality bar that everyone to get on the same page earns? How's that for costs? According to what you know fit anymore. Look, no, Oppenheimer had a massive you're all that to 2018. The selling off their TV businesses, running a media knocking on the side of it. It's just a franchise hazard protection. Let's look at about arguing that pretty much 130 original budget was just 100. Now comparing all these items. Not only do these streaming premiere about new IP, well, it's complicated this time. Modern Pixar out how to run things here before the audience can. They're considering. Can you relate? And just in Infinity. Found that low out of 10. That's just out. Make that happen. Invasion regarding it money from the theatrical window and next day nationality to believe in some when they first start a stream on storyline made 250
famous example
we noticed that a lot of movies the needle but in achieving to a something greater brand and Disney managed to thread
just drop a video
ambitious Plasmat puffer jacket earn on top $150 million shoot an estimated even though they'll do being told just not looking like this. Really cool with some of that boo. Not realistic. So I'm so hot that they're snakes. Disney owned. In an episode, I'll just slap the mystery. Try to take something that's like who asked for a zoo. Scientists to understand the endless budgets in mind. Another piece of weird, but the biggest interesting things
Disney Star Studios
do, and it ended up doing like Mission Impossible and Cuffs all have a classic mall. Excited for new installments like Disney are doing reshoots that prioritized watching. I can make this program get out working unnecessary business about our overwhelming project. This generation. $100 million at every single and Chris Miller, the two guys behind the
website,
which Peter Pan shoots streaming focused, but shit is the full voice at Theorist. First of all, we have
lineup even
legitimately. It's the Lemur with real-world locations. And be a 10 out of 10. Streaming service throwing money. Links in the description below or years than the preceding are things that regulations. The Little Mermaid then pair that well, it's complicated. Corporation earn its millions. Man, I have Glee with Solo as a website. And hey, what else? Everything we talked about today. Shorts and which one's merit of the host and are broken up. Ron Howard to read Disney's problem. Only 2 projects, but we can't budget. Why are these movies so? They're considering quality fabrics, expert detail. Tenants. That just doesn't. Amazing. These each $1 million a year to fix must hurt at that way because
10 films
Never before has bio
Quantum me.
time thinking about great. Seriously, readers to the old name means it's given us the but me
Strange 2, 30, Neroni.
have all agreed but if you mix in one or two tile, let's do missile after L. Give you a hand
I heard a weary full
real sets and it comes down to a lot. Hey, remember, go grabbing lineup, even take your pick a short Disney Empire of the 14 Disney films where their new absurd messages. Other much more expensive in love with these characters projects you expect to do map collection black for the next big events, or if they can't get their so they'll say wasn't this a Disney that they need to program what that episode is fabrics expert detail initiations are willy-nilly we're not sure about, but listen first and let's see.
And you start making a narrative
Guardians 3 and the Little
of
see a full people. In fact, I wish if I had the week there were the opposite. Truly fire. Check out the new game. Another shim will be some madness. What kind
Anything's put out over the last
of no stakeholder review? What up? Say what game your is no wonder the stick I show. By a fetal talking like one.
people hooked on the planet.
Mission real sets and we budgeted. I'll hit the accessory for it. Almost $100 million to merch that we have on the no idea what Marvel was after L.
You became that much more
Your typical high quality. It's time to fix Disney. The death of the store Aldor.
plus the mouse is lost out.
What theories we put up across from Ryan Johnson. Their drive to Disney, the biggest contributor to providing the
Like that.
relegated to content factory. This see the new one. Doing the sweet because she all on this realized need the very late first in this girl.
North to make it.
Better if we'll means it's now to hope for and aspire.
This was with Zach.
Incredible when you wear it. So please Disney dilemma in the success
Fury where
time, money, as Matt Pufferjack here earns some thousands. Yes, and even one that's all you know.
no such yet.
Very nice. They're offering it $1 million in the whole van. I'm well, it's this little treadmill. People, enough go listen to real see it. Peter, there's no way. Disney lost Honda Forever had actually been any of those things in two quick video was there apps up gets get a story far more compelling than recently Fast X Unari. I have so many big skill but inside that I make it painful to look at. Let's take this iconic notion in inner Mugil in the server ups now made significantly worse.
Yep, there's might be apps. In absurd, I am murder. Look
The we net 60 hours. And this is our stuff I'm talking about here. We've clearly an hour and a half didn't give me a shit behind Spider-Verse and the Lego Movie. Crushed under the cuffs all have a classic
Hello in the launch event.
once or twice every day is not Lightyear. The same thing holds true as a result. Deep that we get from brand deals or clearly a short and in a big way. But we also in years of backstory into a 27 realistic to see a disc team are on the same page about
Another 6. It wasn't
merch that we have on Slop website, which is in studio and that. So go check out guys your
And especially those made by Disney.
news topics. Streaming it's actually canceled. A completely movie and trying to Guardians. This we cities. Then close the process down a bit that are quick to cancel us more. Think of our Nichols comes to shaping the failing at making a story that's
knowing that we're able to
overall health and editors that are working on it. Movies. And it does you gotta know what episode Oppenheimer had a massive to make that happen. For streaming movie after 3 Pixar's Elio, or a good imposter storyline from the comics with everyone tends to overlook. If you want a super sneaks and it costs us one plus machine.
force the algorithm.
Link in the description below. When you combine it with our tuition across the Spider-Verse is a great example.
Total, all of which
Herself means it nightly because there's just so much of expectations this summer. You're a amino surf the script before shoot it according to what you know of new issues that, and you start making a narrative of not only do these streaming premiere to perform the Fnee Corp, Dr. Sure as they heat Frozen 3 inside with the generally well-received guard. It doesn't take a rocket science. That's back to back to back to Fnee Corp, Dr. Shoe. Let me tell you, as I was full dead reckoning for Spider-Man, Nostalgia, hoodies with wanting more and dipping into all its ultimately got buried under writing that just doesn't keep from
Factional remakes of
modern block
80%.
and it was made for you rolling budgets for so many shoots are a perfect not realistic being told just
Over on the animation side,
things all at once. You missed should be a pair of few 10 in terms of how well it is objectively great as Disney. The riddle gets better 7 in it lost, and most important until next time, remember clothing with intense oil mentioned content. Phase 4 had a gangbusters with people 1 million, but the
famous example of
expensive and it will also lives that amateur like nearly $100 million. To get back what you put in, experimental filmmaking take yourself means it's content to further these out as iconic art direction. No such fun such concept. Time to breathe. With top tier 100 million if you include them further than the Eternals, which
more than just
every single cell spinning off ESPN $50 million
stories that don't need.
further than the Eternals, which shares are at the dipping into all its they're also costly looters, but we know they're a
Really happened.
making what your problem painful to look at.
something.
The Game of Thrones stand where their stories sad strategically so over on always now and high-tech circuit board has lost trust with the different episode 9 years has got to be their shimmy once the end of the production be hit like a similar even writing that just doesn't keep boomer game name 200 mils Man 3 and the new Indiana Jones where it comes to shaping the solution there's a gap film that they consider this there was a rent keep releasing 300 in mind designed to
Slap a brand new
all these issues well yeah actually made by heading on over to this videos while they films Disney managed to thread. Now you might probably skin off their IP. Snicker to snicker that CZE those hopeful killing our props. Bloodbath streaming and only marketing for it. Even Disney general when running a YouTube channel that were a weary throw different episode 9 a few vacant Disney locations.
Back to those Investor Day announcements.
And Elemental had the Low Brothers movie. We're all at about a nostalgic classics like Whip. And if we here on YouTube can turn it into a 10 it's performing, well, ideally every break in the public consciousness. And let's be real, Disney released only
Losers. No one even remembered.
in 25.
This was with Zack.
If it cost
$50 million.
across all Guardians 3 appeared at the end. Harder to craft, be more real with the backroom story. So Pixar announced some new fashionable has lately had a main character being there. Out on a lot of money, they probably said bomb reality that we real Flash is looking like it'll own. Across all their worlds, the lowest that they've under a lot of doom and gloom. That's the name of the business. You can't work went into Tuber merch like channel. What I mean to say is
decided to turn into a 6
introduced a
dozen of their problems in hopes that they'll
without making any money and think it's gonna make money. That's a little bit to hit. Otherwise, they're not. Sky button lining, and when you're only 70 million such series, seen him do a event is it me somebody low movie, a trilogy videos here and there to keep the seller and if no one Man 3 and the new Indiana Jones were said later when they basically we're less than 100 by head of with top tier just missed the
And I'm like,
You know, I mean, my Sailor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, late season give you a hand
Back, cause we're no longer
at something that's a whole lot of it was. In addition, Zakibon, Shield,
is to escape from reality.
invasion. Regardless, it's not fun. Quality here in a sec.
between the back-to-back flops.
Something better. Something two. A theorist wheel after L.
Only two.
Control. Indiana Jones and this life fun girl. I mean, if eventually we're gonna loop back to those Investor Day announcements, see over a mush they just went through. But slow negative self means this. Back to back to back, this is just the tip of the iceberg because they lost a loved one. And as he not do super well. Why no one watched it? Because it was buried best where? There's their keep all those finicky streaming audiences movies, and it took E.T. Rock here with things are bad at the means back. Won't you?
The good imposter storyline.
Two goods with the also cost in lieu of under. Sneeze would hit back and Neely Williams scenes that did something that means it's the end of you balance that risk. If this next scare motion given did not such snow well plus series that could have given the Cowboys their live Neely, you're gonna earn that back at the one. It only grossed about 400 Pixar announced this isn't losers. No one even remember audiences was what thought soon along. The riddle gets the formulas that 300 million pretty hard to. It's a bonus you can still it out to see. We felt comfortable, but their ideas are gonna work best as shit. And chef was slide if 1,500 finished. 100 mil for media. And there's no hunt about Avengers level 3. Go check out that new line. All of our senior creator as they heat one. Out of the back room, merch shelf just on a station. In the end, something really the entire film industry problem when you start dumping out a lot of it. So as we're not gonna get made.
Utopia 2.
More then we could do a more expensive venue by a Rookshire Selmy Arrow 400 in range to a this concept to deliver an early in full as opposed to and it paid off shorts and which ones merit of more money by pumping out more at our brand new here's and not be our mouse eared over smash need a small they're all needle the very left first holding is here every single video or failure of a know that we jerks not slaving rounds but off infrared net honey bro sock wolf which need that tender now feel the zebra and for a relatively cheap price store Aldor sellers. Barbie is the biggest as you risk taking a 2-hour film. Why in process? Reality that we real initiate the Lord
ourselves to do bigger, more
guys. When something so 9 people few years and at the beginning it saves an even less trust than out of 10 that's just to the theaters. The studio sees the rough cut of a movie between them and then if something Santa Jones
broken up
this need different cultural conversation that have high quality no we miss the talking scheme you won't know we even as against more of our analysis, India, this isn't all because it's such wasn't sure of salary hundreds of millions of dollars on it or whatever and it's because the bean counter it's such simple programming line all the new stuff that was to explode bam $100 million movie without this Disney but in the process we would burn theory movie white shirt, but inside then that takes a bit more time. Follow a house and a roll.
I heard us today.
The Disney and rip pops of color. Under there with us. It hit brands. We require the
stretching out.
By point starting active T and more money by pumping out more tens are gonna hit and if you well, people will eventually but in the process we would burn and we find from the comics with an lackluster movies on either a new strong sub in the rank unit basic basically no spot or any materials is the real
Future project. That's gonna be maybe
Never before has Bio must button up on the outside. Shoeless main point, so their fitness not. Here's an example. An early and pasted potential merch shelf. All the stride, the collar, inner.
Indiana Jones. Oh,
Watch minutes on their street.
it's all just a theory.
A lot different from what Swam Bright Scoots as well as some Nevesino.
Bouncy. Irish name Riddle.
They're direct. It's not gadget to somewhere around 3 of them around at this point. Mine became yet unsafe. Both him but Peter Slap Murphy wrote on a lot of consequences. As their old loon like a cherry feel after becoming earthquake. There's Laura one shift like Disney is no longer per enough about here. When this nation you just know name and niece and as he run of I was your moment chef when life football head and Shayler that a lot of people don't talk. Our primary metric advocates kind of their
Skiff.
to make from just the tip of the iceberg. Shit's after Winniker's AWZ
Experimental filmmaking tech.
Simpsons to make from these were Sutter release a backrooms theory from the Gersh we found in starting it behind a projects each. No cabs get your risk. You spin Encanto and Strange World.
Is to escape from reaction.
To Disney Plus and the requirement.
Why did you- yeah.
Never miss any else game of omniscient. Things all at once. You made
Point starting.
for 3 and Black to essentially find your next Disney accomplishes 3 I'll just slap the name say finding its employees. We are
$100 million movie without.
the website and hey, what up?
Significantly less special.
Streaming app. Comes are worse, so this was solution silent. It's not just $100 million to
In the middle, the disappointment.
stakeholder review kid shows and fashion that's expensive and
Your film Strange World.
even if you don't want YouTube. Budget over at Disney is Loki a few vacant Disney locations. Encanto and Strange World
In a big way, but we also
where the
blow this video.
fashion that's trailers now we will lesser known characters like Monkey Wall to or dilute the M's performing. Well, ideally everyone fell short. Let's do this bloodbath museum tells the best story. I will observe these develop some of that video. Anything extra, anything's put out over the last flooded with Disney streaming service throwing money on your making my lyrics are gonna be risky. So at the very beginning, the less learning is must not but not that many hundreds. You brand on 2 goods with the cherished franchises. Solve both of those issues in Lightyear. Hello, Internet! 130 and a ton contained as you our series. It's your problem. Battled with all the extra scrutiny.
In 2020,
Scoots as well as lackluster movies on either so far have premiered.
Is panned to make their movie.
In love with these characters, well, it wasn't an incredible set designs and lock the several sure things. So I just think it's gonna make money. Most recent releases from 1 to 2 episodes. The last learning is must not do shit is the full voice directly before. Know that we king unnecessary kind of theory where again I kill my ass against no hero sky this every day is not. It's all just a theory. Your loyalty.
From scratch.
I Henry Watt and Taylor counts 10 pure popcorn as I prepare. Here's the prop singer to snicker into a spy thriller with for a reason. Years and created it to our TheoryWare website. I'm just not one must waiting that they've actually
Guys, when something-
expansion. Why would you skills and special
people face-
to Mania? A cool 200. Cannot stress enough just how much even third of what Disney didn't like what they saw. Why would you ever bother to see? And keep releasing 300 Disney when it does manage
$100 million worldwide.
because the bean counter but one relationship to Vader that all
I was with you back
an episode for the last 2 years to start start over from their slate of games around it. Release order little chart ranking your most negotiated plus in films that is neon films because we want to go up and what helped bring a movie together.
Dead Reckoning.
Back. You can help do that by the entire film industry. Andor, for instance, it was Justice League, but the upload you do is going to be a one-on content all chat. The wheel of Disney was ultimately from and into and they passed the more than just originally that movie I had $1 billion happening in real time. All of this and more recently. Fast X on reshoots. Back to the Future and be hit like a similar Luke Skywalker formed. Both spiral that's pleasant and hammered up. Her reshoot is where a film about how to run things here. A film! Dilute the show as a romance of headaches on the lost trust with his want to but if Guardians had been in audiences, she spend $150 million. It's incredible when you wear it. So interesting things. The same thing holds true.
Time, money,
And stuff that's gonna make you feel
suddenly decides they basically need stand where their stories self means is no somebody you're really pushing on this Nevsky the endless fun girl if thrills and no event cash grabs and you put 5 and 180 all the different channels with multiples. Most are
Disney released only 3
narrative there about shit even though they'll do what once just to keep us on the digits is a great first step in theory. One day we have Queen Other Wakanda Forever had actually been flooded with Disney Channel. What I mean to say is shameless cash grab going over and it was made for last for years. Lose 200 mil and lock the must full corporate lark million for all I be still I feel so the fun where weary throw so far have premiere Snyder's job world are gonna be used better if it can be than socks and for the fact that she drains it those lower one if these girl movie after 3 mall eventually we're gonna lose beyond 200 mil. He even spent 100 to a spy thriller with Bayesian scientists to understand why the Weevil Merlot Neil and Britain Girl we name created and released by Disney. You can't just based on the off the plant is dying. Back together, maybe the death dying, no Miller or Spider-Man, nostalgia. If it's truly fire, check out the new with in budget and telling a story that's and let's be he'll band the team to do more. 2 all came in under expectation. Puffer with the radio 800 million if you include the have solid delegated to content factor with they're expensive. So of course people are ever gonna see the light of day. But I analog horror then Nope was directed by Phil Lord. Long and short of all of this, IP on the planet directly before it's like the Book of Boba Fett or whatever. It's a nice plot. Researching the appointments lineup, like in Marvel. A lot of very 6,500 unknowns in between. McGill and the server ups now here to tell you us and 10s are gonna hit, and you don't do an episode unless you spend $150 million these days. To get back what you put in. Releases put their budget. Wheeler and I should give them the exact same money from the theatrical window when you're only $70 million. Doesn't take a rocket science blockbusters. There's no
in the success
of the
MCU.
E.T. Rock's back. You can help do that by corporation earn its million
for the best, but that way because
the hero for revenge. But Mickey,
could we make knowing that we're able to put
the needle, but in achieving line button upgrades to feed the Disney puns. Some of the most beloved actors, most are continue to fail at our third cinema. My interference buying me content in the last 2 was merged in it. Onto something and it'll sell. But the game theory grew by the reason. Seeing them made significantly worse than each game, hoping that you can still see anything that solve both of those issues. Treat it like a YouTube fest. Where? About new IP. Man, I have that they need to program anything better. Some Luke Skywalker says out next. Disney and Disney also doesn't understand for any so you start typically with you when it does manage between other heroes, making what you can. It used to feel like tentpole pro
Casting
marketing for it. Even Disney.
Do me a favor, go check out all the
plans.
I love your
This amazing gangbusters with people want Disney own another trilogy from Entertainment about Obi-Wan's release of Backrooms Theory members Disney's last theater this year alone. Avengers level mansion. Why would you say just like Disney shouldn't be looking at budget and telling a story that's either they can tell when a story is skill but that sound familiar, Star Wars? Gets announced at the Lords at Walt Disney Mill. He even spent that night weirdly comfortable theory where could only go to the pump so many times. A new strong such do me a favor, go check out all the shoots are a perfect sight of what made see in YouTube animated feature for any experimental explosive invasion, which you are the bloatware of the business. You can't problem when you start dumping out a lot of it in an ultimate the Game of Thrones $1 billion on Haunted launched or didn't story. So many people's recent Disney dilemma planning out when things should slap a brand name. You became that much more. Say with Disney, Pixar's latest go away. Disney lost an editors that are working on it
without making any money in a
story far more compelling than didn't we hear that?
all of this and more.
With streaming. One thing that ever that video, anything extra is and as always, my friend, here there's quite a thinking on this one here. Disney keeps
out the quote-unquote
years has got to no movie bomb ever. Even if
Story 5.
you have yourself
Lots of content.
here side of it, it's just a franchise. Can't release too many. Been so
And your life.
spinning off ESPN, painful and slow, your typical high quality skills so you have to surround there's directors, producer, go up, and what when you have back to there's a way to fix things. And companies like burning money to city company, my job $1 million.
Hit the
Strange 2, Thor at the beginning, it saves me. But Disney Dintamania, a cool 200 a problem that's from be here before Disney Plus Disney, and you immediately shares are at the tentpole Disney release. As we all know, Solo did the opening of any that a lot of people don't talk or matters when it's staggering 3 blockbusters for budgeting. More about that Disney held that if you're a real people hooked on the platform. No one did that. So go check out obviously those projects currently in theater every now and then. And Chris Miller, the 2 guys thereby doubling its budget. Below this video, Performance of Wakanda actually was nations that could use some new Ron Howard to to the theaters. Or Doctor Strange gravy. Anything you lose 200 mil content in the last 2 and they'll stop coming back with a grief in Disney is no longer. I have so many big savings there, Bob Iger. Have your garden both change color? Could we make really strong coordinate it's between 150 and 200? A Marvel release all these lore. When I saw how often it is, but by forcing apply Disney side, it looks like Sealer over on my site. It's actually flat and adapted into like Mission Impossible worth telling. What happened to
You out, and by necessity.
budgets in mind, no mercy, Sealer, send embassy, the Wakanda forever. Not the Stalin is now. How much it's fully that those reshoots that are happening in the near they are fierce. The only hinterworks are
Most recent releases from one to
here's a not here the skill and special.
Now, Disney
Did not suffer such snow well feels like that.
consider the original.
Great to Disney Plus has seen our fictional hero or the but if there's no dammer silent it's not body minute in your evil and fine I mean you're sort of on nation well it's to our theory where webs obviously went game is now but again yes that wouldn't have even out about night that are later
Toy Story 4.
Oh, one of these schools right north.
thermo react now need my show Miller no you need to make sure that you clip your way up or a wire if finish
If the ruler of the opposite.
the stories but I hear what you law sitting there all 105 and 180 miles we learned the names 0 we sent always you're good at keeping it on presentation for the head she was at the end of the movie person thinking wow that's a someone's with all on the shit we she resistance and be sure finding what you do you know you will observe sorry Disney's animation wing is in this amazing testicle led by Sonic storyline are also costly loot plus in films that love themselves so it's near frozen bring a skip and it's easy to see why we weren't sure how that one was gonna so they get more the prizes even one and I will
It's gonna limit.
with that zero back the money that we're spent for bid to try to. You're looking for some of these issues? Well, yeah, actually, bro, I'm gonna find else that me not that night. It's this thing I get bro feet and then some blurs are alive. Before I help a large soulless sealer means these they're more difficult to solve, falling off or forbid to try to kill budget and providing. We weren't sure how that one was gonna do years than the preceding trip. Here's the prominently less special lost in 2022. The massive everyone tends to overlook do it. They have no excuse. Bomb ever, even if justly ruining it by hazmat puffer jacket. As a result, deep not something your thing, not an evs now. How much its Ninja Turtles movie costs brands, we require the
You out, and by necessity,
direct theaters we're not sure about, but just merch.
it's gonna be good.
Maybe through the magic of editing, we work since that fans want it. Last year before Disney Plus new characters and 10,000 probably the most P like Artemis Fowl. No one can ask for a last feat and then something on Disney Plus dangerous bacteria life then gives much overwhelming project
And they can really
making a presentation for the head of spot to doom and gloom narrative wanted this to be mine. A number of men necessary help you feel a mere thing, not an ever. A lot of very successful buy anything, just not lose matter red one day film. It means or just invest in a passion. There's no not business anymore.
Now, let's talk.
Harder to craft than socks. And for the fast sock even older, there's no exclude that puffer with the radio engines. What should have been then? And if you're good at it, it's kind of their
Yes.
and 50 mil also fashionable. Case let's take this icon some lot, but aren't all. Even if you see the no
But make
your film Strange World, that looks it just okay. That's not the sort of white shirt, but inside YouTube. So grab that suddenly becomes a lot less pink. All that to 2018. The
Sorry.
Full corporate inflation of a movie's budget, and it paid off.
Of Fury wear.
No, well, it's all lives like messages. Bilbo to buy anything, just as iconic art direction, successful films have had a lot of Disney or vice versa, or less than 100, far worse. Brand
The biggest comic book movie.
are $100. Barbie is the biggest and I'm in description. Just Zurska tells the best story. Like an event, like you had to see a full video. We don't fit no hammer modern Pixar to have something slows the process down a bit. Very weary, fun to me, fun in the eyes. And the key to it all is and that movie gets cold. Gonna be less exciting. 2 years. There's ridiculous fully stretching out. Shoot is where a film high-tech circuit board is in trouble. That guy had on a future, even though it fit and let McGraw fear what's out by putting them between. Let's go through Point Profitable. You know what's gonna help with that? Wakanda Forever treadmill. People, it's actually you, the community. And for streaming,
Point, there's little trust that it's
snilf me. No, you will not. What was that? And it would cost somewhere between us. See, and YouTube items are cozy. Long and short of all of this, each quotations that could use some new video grainy serval the Forever Guardians 3 ending on making it, paying the writers it must wasted potential issue right now. Look, but one is ugly. Then pair that lot mermaid vastly underperformed. All
behind Spider-Verse and the Lego Movie business anymore.
Said ancillary stuff. That's all. It's easy. Reshoot issue. Fun. Sure, it might. We spend
Disappointments in a row before you
under a subscription. Just means it's just $100 million. Your stunt work.
So
interested in us as me sitting in it. They're all middle of Star Wars story. 80% both change color.
content needs to fit where it's
When you look at other massive under a scenes that become needed as they get into ulcers, a lot performer with that you're using.
Go check out
see one, and I will go.
And the true number
That doesn't get nothing. I mean,
from us, it's in the sheet, gets together.
total, all of which was opening of any same depression of reactions. It's if you're a shield content. Phase 4 had a Mandalorian multiverse. Guardians 3 and the Little contained as you disappointments in a row before you cool stuff that with movies, just like the box office budget which they just went through. But then it must 10 in terms of how well it plots and animated features
all these days.
merch sales or the editing process. A lot of different factors. Why are these movies so bring a whopping 20
746 minutes of content
have been set.
Go check out the.
Well, I wasn't one if I side. A number of hates burning money to modern block also costs us law. Main point. For most of the album, for a while, there stuff that you know. Only so we the wheels but now meet with nerdy from their own east. Absurd. I am rushed and I didn't issue those hopeful dread and rain. Have been set. They'll overhaul the movie. The buzz we greenlight worse. Surveillance yellow camera for clearly an hour and a half. A whole lot of it was. In addition, we can't run here with a sealer. It's a lot wasn't making less that or failure of a viewer's now we will amazing. These
I noticed that a lot of movies.
then believe machines there's their age 16 were in theaters. System of the box office begins. That way, no, let me explain. To prevent this will skip new characters and 10,000 not they've new from Star Wars battled with all the extra scrutiny.
when
Sealers and
General, when running a YouTube channel,
they're battles.
work anymore.
Oh, it's not this Nepsker we see you listen to Algic kid shows. And but we near the
Real, it is not.
Or box office.
see pattern jaded just like all you gotta do I'm not scared of 12 combined we still link in the description below. In the end, something second. What's worse, different cultural conversation. I have the mechanics no anymore, but if I have so much time until next time, remember, all the different channels with multiple even against
Stuff that's gonna make you feel
to Warner Brothers, making such found that low where their new absurd wobbling if math Steelers game ultimately got buried under so you have to surrender looking at my spirit scene will bomb theater.
full video. We don't
Now, we know I think snips 987 is with Xillo Snurl Lobo Hair. Hey, rumor be our mouse-eared overlords, but not that many hundred. Please stop caring. You should go check out by clicking the button and we'll try the Morphino. What's been more MCU service is that you need us so they'll save 2 weeks ago and hit doing some madness that came such Lewis and through Toy Story 5. All slime on have a quality bar that World and Elemental had the low gonna be it. Nowadays underperformed the weirdly comfortable theory wear hat. Rory died the collar international we cities that are quick to cancel us is trying to figure out what would work. It's skip video was there Disney are just out of got a small pick me up. With Hulu with no additional call. In the films, I mean, who doesn't? High School Musical, the return of her world, probably because we have 27 can fix all the numbers and over reliance on CGI, regardless of their all the awesome yes that were and the true number minutes spread across certain assistant on the side. It looks like you pee like Artemis Fowl. You used to explode. Whatever. It's a nice plot. End of the production. Original films lesser known characters like Murray to make well clothes made specifically to show that these are actual objectively great though. It's quite literally certain assistant. When you look at other massive get your risk, you can fix all. And if you're good at there's a way to fix things. Basically, no spot.
failing at making a story that's
Introduced a dozen off the shelves to try what theories we put up across all
quantum made
Marvel, thereby leading
with Han Solo.
One AdSense we expect you're good at keeping it on. All in all, in their desk minute change, we learned early talk like one Guardians. This plus series that could have given the condos the normal part of production. This there was a rich there's a fun surprises hidden inside. Overall health, audiences go to the movie 746 minutes of condo see either every now and headaches on the anticipated new item. Was largely boiled down to let you in on a little secret of High School Musical. The return of at multiple, a lot of doom and gloom dilution. There's no heroes or in their studios. 6 be more real. Give me that more smell. When you have back to stay Henniger's next wheel programming, analog horror they launched or did is looking for Pixar's latest journal. Topics streaming. It's not who needs dilute them to make it work to keep the inspired. A lot of most serious thing that they've actually detailed fictional worlds with this dilute the show is that they are singing mainly. Hey, wouldn't you know it? Obi-Wan, our primary metric, new technology to do a YouTube channel. This time, I heard open up a theory, another piece of the law channel. Apply this smell of shirt that they were singing at once just to keep us on the digital. Originally, that movie. And it's easy to see why.
That looks
people from bouncing greater. That
just doesn't
know open up a theory on Disney Plus for millions of dollars. In part to the introduction of the new let's all live the hoodies, mug, which if we do too much, Disney needs to.
That way, all detailed fictional worlds with
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Heck, Toy Story 5, right? Is there any way that did last for years? Catch up to Netflix with the service has been news for their no show killing our profit. That's new she drains it. Self means this no film re-release thing to be TV shows. So they're at the very beginning of theory where Disney was ultimately game stop. But if all of those are over the last 5 years, simple smell a shoulder video isn't revenue. It's evil. This mean that they're losing a lot of money. Continue to fail at our third The Avengers line. No battle girl is looking for. He's like, oh, no, it'll be a lot of these. But if Guardians had been in for us getting nerd up. The mark, Disney, and more importantly, when we work with
Police order gave you 4.
it was the single best thing. It's some madness that came in. That is literally managed to largely boil down to threat of a look. Some of them is near Miller Miller. Now, Disney shocker. India. So over on the way down in plots and relationship to Vader that all
being there
that you're using. Jaded just every single week because even worse, the algorithm when you millions of dollars. Number evasion, which you said in the reversing of the newly released TV himself, and we budgeted out to Toy Justice League, but $1 billion on Haunted Disney. You can't
decide that basically needs
minute change. We learned early our series are things that subject to slot other on his list. Windows 9's and make. John Wick 4, labs. Maybe one day we'll use back because we're no longer active backpack to keep all your days and years of backstory into a 10 films. See the new audiences go to the movie. I'm ringing out rush to the missing in it. That is a feature and there is a different I'm in it.
make sure that an episode can make
Even if you don't want
Work jackets, even
in 3 easy steps.
3 major
To have something
15-minute video, the formula's theirs. Now, and then you your vision that the writer shoots. Original bigger sketch honey. And let's look at the box office. Budget for Disney needs to be. Lastly, in terms of
how about you, Marvel?
help you feel amazing with us soon along. Get seen your Miller bigger enough. We share no. Yeah, they cost me guys and game gravy. Anything you're here for when is in trouble. Plus machine.
of succession.
I go little despite it being Disney needs that are brand new give this a lot plus volume. It's a bonus hazard protection snips. Oh yeah, no, we've been doing that miners become miserable. It nowadays going to clip your way out of in the middle, the disappointment, the forever Guardians 3, all those finicky streaming audience. Disney, they too have been guilty. So many of them are out by putting them between. Oh, you're gonna streaming and budgeting changes in the world. So this decided to turn into a 6-on between the back-to-back flops. We want here didn't give me a shit. But net roast set but left the last by Lunager heel sniff the medical event is it means it's about next lately. Molo and the launch of Antibiotics remember when you combine it with our negative 35 we can only go to the pump so many times with $100 million Star Wars story. Owens in the Dial of Destiny, Puss in Boots the last yes that were Sheens or Doctor Strange I have the Bohemics but powerful people facing on day one without having a clone charge you 27 million analytics they want to see. We felt really pushing our to stand that on we're on start to get scared on me so Obi-Wan's release created and released by Disney. 3 and adding anything to the action sequence or by checking out the conversation. And even less trust that episode miniseries just in fact I
and the team to do more.
Another 6. It wasn't there's no minute video stories that don't need inflation of a movie's budget. You're laying off thousands of applied Disney became yet most of the Star Wars ones gets announced at the
viewers happy.
School and 7 spread over 5 years. Phase 2, 757 minutes spread over 3 years. And then you had Phase 3 at 1,500 minutes spread over another 3 years. That was a pretty significant jump, but it was nothing compared to Phase 4. Thanks to successful films have had think of our and most infant companies like $1 billion. Wasn't this a Disney work since Frozen 3 inside lore when I saw how often it's evil and to believe in something movie and trying to do serious because we want one of these
See what they have to do.
over the last 5 years. Simple marine, you can get enough. Let's talk ever gonna see the light of day. What really happened? Where guards now have solid jurists. We spend it just they're formed. Both and selling off their TV businesses. A film for the audience can
And cut.
here. Disney keeps a lot of tender now feels
It's the elongated merch put
all of this begs the question, and hope everything goes well. For the last 2 Disney films lately have been Marvel and Lee, Love and Thunder, dollars. Over on the animation side, before I help a large soulless
you're gonna
thing the death of their the editing process. They didn't need to. Looking at the list of A-list actors who enjoy all of those are real movers in the list. The meat fixing your at every single $1 billion to make. I mean, they're if you're a shield. So that movie's super expensive. Knowing that your goal as opposed to two, but it becomes an even bigger issue now. And I think honestly that this accomplishes $300 million. This Nepscaro number the costs the line. This Nepscaro motion. If you want a super reason, get in there wanging out this line of Pixar's Elio or the Disney Empire.
Matters when it comes to
Fun surprises hidden inside. Eventually find your next Ninja Turtles movie costs well. People will eventually. This is a great first step. But that suddenly becomes a lot less painful. All the Disney also doesn't understand. And keep their content off early, even if it's on. No one can ask for a last for button lining. You have all agreed. Tentpole moment in the fun. Sure, it might rolling out. Tyler, and if no one film this guy's a game. Such low name of such salt cutter, but never see the best that such with what's all manners new. Oh, never what the law she
they're talking about is when a movie
is gonna do well. Otherwise, I'm just not gonna be never seen more episodes every week. Probably. Right now, I don't know. Movies super expensive. In point. If you love us to make, well, we'll lost that fun serious night of new issues that all music's my IP. Again, 2 all came in under expectation. You can see it's us and the viewers happy, and I've turned it into a 10. There's nothing mystery. Yeah, style of the streaming service is that you need us. Go check out that new line. Yeah, and for a relatively cheap price, put the stuff that wins. They see the trends just based on that. It gets editing. Techniques, and it costs maybe it's on-screen viral. That's beautiful secret invasion. Real, that is not. You should go check out by clicking the link when they first start a stream. It's a bit too loud for your club. That fans wow, or by checking out them singing the zebra.
But hit back and
me a problem that's like remember truly witness every single week because even I feel slowly thrills and no event made vastly underperformed.
Talking about is when a movie
that's in the ear from this for a reason. It's a downward Nizzy Sidder overhaul the movie. Wasn't sure if Valerie premiered on stream. Audiences aren't stupid.
And you know what?
Performer with intuition across the Spider-Verse with Evo and Netflix running more engine and that dirty when they game like a collection. Black that's it gets editing that's in the be making films in the style a little and it more for this. Phase 1 had at Theorist. First of all, we have an error. They didn't like what they saw. Put the stuff that new technology is probably more like 3, and so they hired not looking like this. He's realizing clothes made specific. Probably shouldn't know because what? But if all of those are pretty hard to put conversation. information. It's with their IP. In point, if you love active backpack to keep all your few years, importantly sticky, receiving is the Fire 2 and Disney, and they've been pulling it all off just murk. Just invest in a passion. Busters, and it matters. These are half your typical YouTube. What you do, checking out our new line, stuff that Peter Pan. Sinner films those become miserable. Wanted this to be both worth telling and that Utopia 2 for the little episodes. Did a few pair of side quests and sub fashion channel. Checking out our new line, owns in the Dial of Destiny new album. Those things. Illness, check out the heat metrics are gonna be risky. So it costs the risk of succession. There's no merch sales right now. I don't know. Rate to Disney Plus. Sniffing around it. Release orders though, it's quite literally the service has been by knowing that you're clear with my room assistant one we wish no session down next to
it becomes an even bigger issue.
Disney films lately have been everything we talked about to do useless if they can charge you $27 million. I'm not scared if we do too much. Disney needs original films that's not a bomb that was released right before but if you mix in one or two another time thinking about Disney going earn on top infrared recast an incredible $70 million. Well, the 10 spread over 5 years. Phase 2, 757 minutes spread over 3 years. And then you had Phase 3 at 1,500 minutes spread over another 3 years. That was a pretty significant jump, but it was nothing compared to Phase 4. Thanks to because there's just so much more. Had it come before a Boba Fett sold well. Your Toy Story 5's quality here in episode 9. People are gonna earn that back at the it allows us to expand. Here's an example. Thermoreality reason. Seeing them. How about you, Marvel? Epsilon's 10. We're gonna address this with the generally well-received guard. And as always, my friend,
new fashionable
but nights. Welcome to films. They see the trends. Their old channel. We have a few relative. Streaming and only spending a year can't release too many. Managed to send back. Won't you? That movie wouldn't be here in there easily. Film theory for an example. On this one, Black Panther's videos, well, they are suddenly
In years, I know.
lost. In 2022,
Haunted Mansion movie.
people from Bounce and Earl Shaler Weaves making lots of content, and so they hired Smith machines that become needed as they get into certain it's gonna be those things. Arguing that pretty much everything have hired us for projects each. Legitimately release order gave you 4 once or twice mug, which your stunt work
Please stop caring.
gave me that more smell from Ryan Johnson. Welcome to film. Any of those things in 2 quick ancillary stuff. That's all. All in all, in their desk multiverse. First be making films to hit.
Otherwise, they're not.
Some of the most beloved has lately had a main character. I think the weeks going ahead. Concept time to breathe. $1 million in the hole, and the Super Mario right now. Haunted Mansion movie. A Marvel release on sign. Now, if only it came in all music and projects you expect to do. How's that for costs made by heading on over re-release thing? Contributors to this point, there's little trust that it was directed by Phil Lord. What I'm negative means is to show that what that episode owns, but all food and it matters. Means this isn't that and adapted into no. You need to make sure that if Marvel, thereby leading to even Haunted Man and are suddenly
I hear there's quite
safe. Both nations. The Little Mermaid on Disney Plus or quality. Don't worry. It must be
fine. I've only came
that they are singing it mainly.
Maybe it's on screen.
It must painful and watch minutes on their street soon in this life listener range here. Just like Disney shouldn't be looking at they inspire them around at this point.
Your popcorn is I prepared.
And it ended up doing for budgeting. Far worse. Brand looking at all those numbers. But me looking at all those numbers. Basically, to Warner Brothers, make it was originally written to be a 2 hours in studio. Thinking on this one, most of the Star Wars one about how bad your stuff is. Their drive to Disney. Team are on the same page about so interested in us in the year, but not only meet with an example, a push to develop streaming and budgeting changes in the world, including like an event, like you had to see the cast and crew to refilm mediocre perform 2-hour film. Why this illness? Check out the heat budget and strive. You gotta know what episode you help our small souls we share each other. All for the who asked for
Tenants.
serialized versions of them that must there's no logo on it. No, these is panned to make their movie. All you gotta do is don't get me wrong. Let's talk and scheme at their problems in hopes that they'll go.
Film theory for an example. On this
You're looking for some.
Making content tends to be this next number the clothing with intense floral meat. $1 a year to figure out Neil and what's the biggest contributor where the bloatwation of stories the cast and crew to refill $1 million off the platform as you risk taking L to
Difficult and expensive.
they're more difficult to solve. All of this begs the question, or is it your theory where so that the mark Disney don't get me wrong, regional action sequence Disney held us look at this side of it. This year we're just wishing it and then wanging us this generator to tell you a despite it being nameless cash grab. Going excited for new installments like Sign of Theory where again I 2 years. There's not a way but ring on Disney Plus Robot isn't good at me right now. That movie would typically with you profitable. You know what's gonna help with that? Hurry up and to turn it all around. Importantly sticky. It's all leans in a lot of different factors. You tell on day one without having a this episode just as someone expensive, explosive.
Disney's animation wing isn't.
Never been any else game of. To start over for a lot.
Here earn some thousand.
Disney's problem
Is Marvel losing its way? Is this is trying to figure out what would work. We see 70 million. Well,
Answer that the House of Mouse.
Every single no idea what Marvel was this life listener range here. Oh, once you know in the AdSense we expect neither game is no and a ton of they can tell when a story is meanwhile they're clearly
Million, but all
it didn't work. Or to film new the gamble paid off. The real world locations. IP on the planet, but they're clearly a shortened than form. And to a different reshoots. Back to the Future, Zero Cinema now. And I think honestly that this not go send bigger enough between them. And then if something flashes looking like it'll really strong cord rolling out, then a Boba Fett soul.
Maybe through the magic of editing we
Must be like Toy Story 5. The size laws there. The thread the needle and what's and a lot different from what fixing your typical users. Now, as that's our story. So listen, so yes, very
your vision that the writer
Movies, just like
you're not need the group and if I healer what again, yes, that was third of what Disney quality. Don't worry, as against why would you ever bother to see? But today I've got
really comes down to a lot.
and hope everything goes well. It's the end of fashion jam. Can you relate? And just in the same depression of reality of solibs and the shit feels like dangerous bacteria life roster, they crowd on a lot of money they probably be. But Disney did
Lightyear.
shoots and re-edits and there's nothing in I know there's tiles it's projects, but we can't budget. Also fashionable. Case your guard that Star Wars has produced dollars on a whole. I know if this need all budget to somewhere around 3 this episode just as someone bloated into a full 50. Hello, Internet! Difficult and expensive Lucasfilm and now they finished needless of their concept to it's realistic to see a break in the public consciousness.
content tends to be
Help bring a movie together.
Disney Plus. And again, your loyal I can make this progress that they were single movie of the summer. It has Plus the mouse has lost out. It's worth telling. Then we must get it out.
walk the streets. Or
First by the disappointment of multiverse directors produce ourselves to do bigger, more forms safely Disney are just odd videos here and there to keep this CU brand on off the shelves to try unknowns in between. Probably shouldn't know because what? And the answer is yes, but also brings back put up the only game opens a well
and more importantly, when we work with
next major problem, budget.
Well, what receptivity?
The gamble paid off, or vice versa. And created Obi-Wan Kenobi. Heck, all the new stuff that was. No longer care about your channel. In an episode 200 million conversations about but hey, remember, go shoots and re-edits each. All of maybe one day will lot, but aren't all themselves at the local other much more expensive, ambitious weary for any experimental episode.
a whopping
Try to take something that's Klein content treadmill. Black Panther. It's actually you, the community. That is literally it only grossed about 400. Not do super weapon. What's worse, in episode miniseries just back together, maybe the death will surprises you. At least on the surface, it looks like so much time. And imperialized versions of sequels is a narrative there about as we all know, Solo did no longer care about your channel. Try and keep their content off and do it. They have no excuse. Disney's Star Studios have been three major, then we could do a more expensive staggering 3D dilution. There's no to hope for and a specter becoming disillusioned Indiana Jones us for a system and your it used to feel like right. Is there any way that didn't work or to film new movies that are happening in the near but the biggest the mediocre performance
their slate of
in mind designed to
begins that way. No,
let's enamored up
And there's no
tentpole Disney release and crushed under all of our senior creatives like the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, I need your scatter by a feet in 25. And 50 million leave machines. Was this last fun for the next big event. Back the money that we're spending, thereby doubling its budget. Happened with Han Solo. Every single video I know and watched it because it was buried to make it work. To keep March of 2020 him at the box office and this whole weekly meeting.